Today I've got Tim Kadilak, Eric Impression, Jay Stunna, and Steve Graeber here to talk about their track The Ride, which was released as part of the Rolled Up Summer Vibes Volume 2 mixtape. Thank you all for joining me today.
Thanks for having us.
Yeah. Be here.
So we're just going to get right into it, and I'm going to start with you, Tim. This is the track with the most artists featured on this mixtape. What was it like being able to work with everyone on it? And during the planning stages for it, did you already have an idea in mind on who would be featured? I'm curious to know how everyone was gathered together for this one.
Oh, I'm so glad we saved this for this. That's so funny because me and Eric, I think actually it was at Patrick's wedding. We talked about working on a tune together, and then you know, that's usually how all that usually goes that way. And it's like you don't hear from somebody for months, and I think he just kept poking and prodding my inbox, like, "Come on, dude, send something." And I finally like sent something over to him, and I was like, "Yeah, you know," I was like, "I have this track." I was like, I hate the bass line of it. I don't know where I want to go with it. And I was like, just do something with it, please. And he was like, yeah, man, I got it. And then he sent back some renditions of it. And then he goes, you know what? I think I'm going to get this other dude on it, Stunna, to do the bass line. He always does a lot of bass lines for me. And it's really, he knocks them out really fast. I was like, okay, cool. So he sent it over to him. And then I think we were looking for a vocalist, right, Eric? And then you were like, you know what? I have this other guy that plays saxophone I think would go really good on this too. Let me reach out to him. And it just kind of just snowballed from there. And it just, you know, before we knew it, we were four people deep in on the track that we're going to have a fifth. We're going to have a singer on it. But we tried a few different people and just didn't work out. We just kind of just left it out, you know, and now we're here. And this is my first time even meeting Steve and Jay.
Nice to meet you.
Yeah. Pretty much in a nutshell, that's how that was.
Right. That's great, man. Eric, this next one's for you. You and Tim previously joined forces on a track titled Get Going, which was part of the Winter Vibes Volume 1 mixtape that released earlier this year. What's it like working with him on projects? Do you both feel like you're able to come together rather seamlessly when working with each other?
Seems like it. Like you said, we met at the wedding, Patrick's wedding, which was basically a drum and bass party, and every other song was Tim's. I'm like, how are you making this kind of music? What is this? And he's like, what do you make? I want some of that. And so we just, you know, a couple weeks after, I worked on a song or that Get Going, and I sent it over to him, and I guess it was less than like 2 or 3 weeks. He's like, here, it's finished.
In a nutshell, there's definitely a few passbacks.
yeah. Well, yeah, to listen back and forth, yeah, for sure. I do want to comment on the making of the song, because it started with the wedding, and how we got Steve on it was because of Stunna's wedding.
Yeah.
And he was up there, and I said I had a song, and he's like, well, I would like to work with you. And I was like, I got one with Stunna and this guy Kadilak, and I mean, I think it could use a saxophone. And so that's how we ended up getting it to Steve. So it was 2 weddings that made this song happen.
Yep.
Yeah, that's pretty cool story, actually.
It's like the wedding, it seems like, was like the whole catalyst of this whole thing. That's pretty interesting.
And love was in the air.
Yeah, exactly.
Jay, we'll switch over to you for this next one.
Okay.
With this track, you, along with Steve, are making your Rolled Up label debut, and I just want to congratulate you both on that, by the way.
Thanks.
Absolutely. Tell me, what does that mean to you, and what was it like being able to come together with these individuals to you to create this? And is there anything that stands out to you particularly during the production process?
You know, it was put together. I know Kadilak and Eric had worked on it a bit, and then it was sort of like tossed to me like, hey, you know, we need a little help with the bass line, that kind of stuff. And Eric and I have been working on tunes for a while now, probably actually since COVID hit. Like, Eric's been a machine in the studio, and I've sort of been kind of like a little silent producer with him, working on a lot of tunes. So I had like this big stack or you know, folder of tracks we've been working on, and this was one of them. And I'm like, constantly bouncing off different ideas off different tunes. So when I saw that Steve was going to be on this, Steve Graeber and I go back probably to the mid '90s. We used to play in a funk band together here in Chicago. So we come from like a real jam band sort of background. So it's kind of really cool to see like that world meet drum and bass world, because I met Eric through Bass Drive in I think it was like 2007, something like that. So we've hung out a lot together, but I've done a lot of collabs with people I've never met, like tons of them, like throughout the years. And when I saw Kadilak's name on there, I'm like, oh man, that's cool. Like I always love. It's cool to get into a studio together and do collabs, but it's sometimes you give like a different sort of approach when you don't have the physical interaction with that person, and you get like, basically I thought the track was done. It just had like a couple more pieces to glue it together. So it was all sort of came together really easily because everyone brought their best parts, and it just kind of like was this cohesive thing. When I feel like I didn't even do a whole lot of work on it. I did the bass line and some other synth parts. The skeleton was there. The meat of it was there too. So this was probably one of the coolest, like, I don't know. It didn't seem like it took a long time to do it. But actually doing this interview and seeing the release and all the stuff on social media, I'm like, wow, this is really cool to have, like, and be able to talk about this, because usually I don't give interviews about specific songs. So props to all you guys for putting this together and making it kind of easy for me. I know there was a lot of hard work in different areas of it, but I don't know if that totally answers your question, but
no, that was a great answer. This next one will be for you, Steve. Obviously, one of the main elements that stands out in this track is your contribution on saxophone, which I'm honestly a big fan of, and I know Tim is as well. I mean, in fact, I'm pretty sure everybody here is. When you found out that you were going to be working on this, did you already have an idea in mind for the performance?
No. Simply, no. I just got the track. I had hung out with... I had hung out a lot with, Stunna, like he was saying, back in the 90s, and played on a bunch of stuff together. But this was my first time meeting Eric, and I'd met him over maybe like FaceTime, because I hung out with Markham when I was living in LA, and we used to do, we used to talk once in a while, and he'd be on the phone with him. So I guess with this track, I got I remember talking to Eric outside the elevators after Stunna's wedding, and he's just like, let's do a track, man. So I'm like, all right, enough said. I'm not gonna, talk about it too much. I'm just gonna say yes, and hopefully he sends me something fairly soon. So I think, man, I was home maybe like, I remember getting sick the day after or something, but I came home and it was like in my inbox immediately, man. He was ready to go. So I'm like, all right, man, I'll respond as quick as I can. I think I took maybe 2 passes over the whole thing. I put it in Pro Tools and stuff, and I think you sent me a second copy or something like that to track over. But I was like, yeah, I'm ready to go. Like Stunny said, it was pretty much all done, and all I had to do was kind of just fill in the holes. And what was cool is the reason I could do it so quick, I think, is for some reason I could just hear all the space. I just heard where there was just like, it needs something there, it needs something there. And I could actually hear, for some reason, I could hear what notes they were and what effects to use and blah, blah, blah. It was just all kind of coming to me at the time. So it went down in like 5 minutes. I was done. It was maybe 10 minutes, something like that. And I was done. So it was cool. I didn't have to spend too much time mixing it or tweaking it or anything. And the effects were all done and everything. So I just sent it back to Eric, and everything was pretty quickly done after that.
Dude, that's amazing. And it's interesting how stuff can just kind of come together quickly like that.
In 10 minutes,
Yeah, no big deal.
I
felt good about it. I wasn't like, I'm gonna, I was gonna let him cut it up. I expected to have it all on the floor, but
I didn't even touch it. I was like, I didn't even touch it. I was like, this is beautiful. I was like, effects, everything. We're just gonna leave that.
Yeah. It came out great. I love it. It's honestly like that it actually might be the main reason why I started with that track on the album mix as well. So I personally feel like this is one of my favorite releases on the mixtape to listen to, especially when I'm out for a drive or just hanging out and like taking it slow. I feel like the atmospheric tones give me a sense of nostalgia when I hear it. We'll start with Tim, and we'll go through everybody's answers in your own words. But how do you feel like this track resonates with you? Do you get any of your own particular feelings about it from when you listen to it in that sense?
Oh man, yeah, it's like a it's so funny. Like everybody had mentioned here, there's like this ongoing pieces, right? And then like Stunna fills it in with like some pads and some synths and a bass line, and then Steve comes out and knocks it out of the park and just hits like all the tasty like things that needed to happen. Like, because without that there, like the track would have been bare bones to me personally, I think. And I mean, it was okay. It was it was jamming, it was riding, but that really filled in all the gaps, and everybody filled in all the gaps from like when you're a kid and you just like lay on your bed and you just put the headphones on and you stare at the ceiling and you just like letting it ride and it just like takes you to another place. Like that's kind of how this track like makes me feel. I don't know if that's like the answer you're looking for, but that's what I have.
No, that's a great answer actually. How about you, Eric?
Well, that's how it got its name. It's like the ride. To me, it was just what was the question again?
Just like no, you're good. Just like how do you feel like the track resonates with you? Like, do you get any sort of particular feelings from it when you listen to it in that sense?
Yeah, it gives me memories of like how I even got started with Rolled Up Records, because it started at the wedding with Tim, and then we worked on Get Going, and then I said, hey, send me something, and he sent it to me, and it said Hospital on it, so all of a sudden I knew like where he was like thinking. And I sent it to Stunna, and he's like, is this for Hospital record? Yeah. Or is this? I'm like, well, yeah, let's try it. and then and then being at Stunna's wedding and talking to Steve, and then when he sent it back, I was just, the saxophone is, it is definitely the best part of it. And I remember I sent it to Stunna, and there was no breakdown, and he goes, "You gonna put a little breakdown in there?" I was like, "Oh, okay, I'll take 64 out or something."
Mm-hmm.
And so then I sent it back to Tim, and next thing I know, puts his little Kadilak edits on it, and it's just a song. The feedback has been so good on it. It's just Jason and Key was saying it just feels so real. I'm like, because it is real. It's a real saxophone. You're like, oh.
That's the guy, Australian DJ, right?
Yeah.
It was cool, man. I liked hearing that mix he was doing. That was fun to hear him play it.
Somebody pinned.
I don't know if that answers your question.
It does. No. It's not like a quiz. I just want to know, like, in each of your own words, like, how you feel like it personally hits with you.
I love it. I play it all the time.
Stunna, how about you?
Yeah, there's so many different types of, or like subgenres of drum and bass, and it seems like the stuff like at the top of like the sales or Billboard or whatever, Beatport, it's always like some super high energy stuff that maybe I'm not totally into, but I know there's a place for tunes that have that live element that might not be like this big breakout hit or whatever, but there are fans out there, or there are listeners and DJs out there that love playing more musical stuff, myself included. I like playing everything, but musical stuff, definitely. But then once you put the live element, like some kind of instrumentalist over a tune, you turn people's heads. You're like, wait, someone actually is playing this real, especially like in a live setting. Like if you go DJ live and you have like a live guitarist or a sax player or something like that, people, like, it blows their minds. They're like, wait a minute, I thought all this was recorded. It's like, no, it's like, and then to have Steve on this track, like I said, we worked on tons of music over the years, and yeah, he kills it every time. It's like he's the showstopper of any time we play, and it's like, hey, we should do a lot more music together, in this in this format, drum bass format. And yeah, it brings back like memories of a long time ago playing, like I said, playing in bands. And yeah, it's like the total summer vibey jam that, it's cool, kind of cool that's coming out right now. And yeah, thanks for having me on Rolled Up Records. Another label checked off the list. I mean, that's I don't know, it feels good, especially with this crew, people I've known for a long time. And Kadilak, just meeting you now, it's awesome. I know you're doing cool stuff too, but it's really great to be, part of something that could be the beginning of something else. Like if we do some more music together, have another.
I was just about to say, you're
reading my mind.
You're welcome to come back anytime, brother.
Yeah, cool. No, I appreciate it. Yeah, and yeah, I hope that answers the question.
It does. You passed the test.
Can I say something?
Yeah, go ahead.
I'll get one started for all of us today.
All right,
there we go.
That's a great idea.
There we go.
Go.
Well, best part of the interview right there.
Yeah.
First of the next one.
Yes.
You heard it here first, folks.
Genesis.
Right.
Yeah, this track reminds me of way back when hanging out with Stunna and playing in bands, and when he started getting into drum bass, and I was listening to it a lot too, and I would hear a sax sample or something, and I'd be like, man, I wish I could play over a track like this, or whatever. And over the years, I have done some stuff, and I've done some stuff with Stunna and Markham, and I was always like, maybe eventually I'll meet Eric and do a track with him. So that was kind of how it ended up, man. It was a real organic thing. So it does remind me of partying with these guys, and and also it sort of reminds me of like Christmas time, because I remember when I first finished the mix, one of you guys sent me a mix back, and I played it for some of my wife's friends that were in town, and they dug it. They were like, "Oh, this sounds really good," and I was like, "Cool." And we were hanging out, looking at Christmas lights and stuff. So that's what I feel when I hear it. And I guess I just remember that kind of stuff.
It's funny you say that too, because it's on a Summer Vibes mixtape, right?
Oh, yeah.
For style.
Sorry.
But it could have been on the Winter Vibes mixtape too.
Right.
It's like one of those songs that could have
Christmas,
been on
yeah.
either part of the year. It still would have matched the flow of it. That's what's so
Right.
It's like it's dynamics,
Mhm.
it's depth to it, I think.
Well, Tim, Eric, Jay, and Steve, thank you all so much for being here with me today and answering these questions. I do appreciate it from all of you.
Thank you so much for having
Pleasure.
us.
Thank you.
Yeah.
And it's so good to finally meet you, Steve and Jay.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, you as
Likewise.
Yeah, I look forward
do it
to
again.
I look forward to maybe doing another one of these. This is great.
Yeah.
I'm starting it today.
There it is. There
we
it
go.
is. Part 2, the ride back.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, so let's get
Right
going.
Yeah.
All right, well, you all have a great day. Thank you again so much.